1 year ago, Kerbal Space Program 2 was announced. A lot has happened since then. Unfortunately, we can't travel to interstellar locations yet, so let's travel through time a little. Hello everybody and welcome! It was August 19th, 2019, and suddenly there was a disturbance in the Force. The Space Force. The cringe. Without any previous indication, the cinematic announced trailer for Kerbal Space Program 2 was published. A completely new game, not produced by the original studio Squad, but a completely new one, Star Theory. It goes without saying that the KSP community immediately erupted after the announcement. At the same time, a so-called developer's story trailer highlighted the team at Star Theory that had already been working on the game for quite some time before the announcement. The date of the announcement was chosen to coincide with Gamescom 2019, a massive event that attracted 373,000 visitors. Which is insane to think about from the current global pandemic perspective. Anyways, Kerbal Space Program 2 promised a departure from the single solar system space sim that was the original, towards a grander interstellar vision with humongous spaceships. Not even 2 weeks later, I was on a plane to Seattle to meet the developers. Private Division, the publisher for both KSP and KSP2, invited content creators, modders and community members to Star Theory's office and later to PAX West to present more details about the game, but also to gather feedback on certain things from us. We learned a few more details, but the amount of unknowns continued to grow because every answer opened up new questions. And the developers were very tight-lipped.
No comment. I have no comment. I'm not currently able to give any specifics around multiplayer.
You're not talking about that?
I have no answer to that question right now.
Something that we KSP creators immediately after seeing the state of the game and speaking with the developers have guessed was that the targeted release date of spring 2020 was, let's just say, optimistic. And it turned out we were right. In November, 1 week after a blog entry from creative director Nate Simpson, Private Division's parent company, Take-Two, announced in an earnings call that KSP2 would slip into fiscal year 2021. For Take-Two and subsequently Private Division, this is a period from April 1st, 2020 to March 31st, 2021. Then there was not much news until February 20th this year, when again 2 videos were published, a short studio update and a longer next-gen tech video about some of the new engines and designs we will see in the game. And we got a new blog entry, or dev diary as these are called, about visual effects. But there had been a lot more going on behind the scenes. Star Theory's owners tried to renegotiate their contract with Private Division around November-December. We do not know all the details, but the result was Private Division pulling the project from Star Theory and creating their own studio to work on it. Many of the original developers jumped ship to the new studio, including top people like creative director Nate Simpson, producer Nate Robinson and Star Theory CEO Jeremy Abels. But also engineers and designers like Tom Veneta, who has immortalized himself with his love for a certain day, Friday! Stuck with the project instead of the studio. I have made a more detailed video about this rather complex topic, link is in the description. Then the world went completely haywire with an unprecedented human malware situation that is still ongoing. The only small update we got from the developers was a dev diary about the design pillars for KSP2 on April 16th. Fast forward to May 20th and the official announcement that Kerbal Space Program 2's release date would slip into fall 2021. That is quite the departure from spring 2020 and even later than Take-Two's fiscal year 2021. Yes, the COVID-19 pandemic is one reason for that, but I also assume the entire organizational reshuffling was a big driver for this delay. Around the same time, not only was the name of the new studio, Intercept Games, finally made public, but also the July edition of PC Gamer was released, and it contained a multi-page feature about KSP2 with quite a few more details, including something about a new user interface as well as some gameplay mechanics. Again, a more detailed video on this is in the description. We got another dev diary on June 12th about the software engineering side of the game. And the next official video drop happened on June 24th. It was the Work From Home update, which focused mainly on how the developers were, and still are, dealing with their new remote working situation. But there were also some tidbits about the game in there, like the new editor UI, as well as some details about colonies. And yes, I also made a video about that. A month later, on July 21st, a dev diary about the new tutorial animations was published, and 2 weeks ago, on July 31st, not only did we learn about Tom's favorite day, but also about some new stuff that has made it into the game. Like Puff, the crazy-looking eyeball planet. It was just a 2-minute video, but we still managed to learn a thing or two. Or 8. And that's it. That's the story of Kerbal Space Program 2 so far. It's already been a bit of a wild ride, unfortunately for a lot of the wrong reasons, like the studio shakeup and all the negative reactions that followed after more details came to light later. I honestly feel sorry for everyone caught up in that, having to transition from one company to the next while trying to keep a project alive is never a fun thing to go through, especially in the current global situation. But regarding the game itself, 1 year later, what do we really know about Kerbal Space Program 2? It will look a lot better than the original, that's for sure, including stock clouds and indirect lighting like in the KSP mod Planetshine. Interstellar travel is going to be a big thing. We know about a few new engines based on proposed propulsion concepts and some crazy new planets like the already mentioned Puff or the binary planets Rask and Rusk. Colony building will be a big part of the new game, enabling players to construct rockets directly on another moon or planet, potentially in orbital shipyards, since the vehicle assembly building will have a strict size limit. There will be some kind of resource system. The new VAB UI showed how parts need certain materials for construction, and it was also mentioned in the PC Gamer article that trade between colonies will be vital. The UI is being completely overhauled both for flying as well as editing vehicles. New animated tutorials are being included to make the game more accessible for new players. At the same time, the developers want to keep it challenging for experienced players.
The game itself remains as challenging as the original game. In fact, in some ways a little more challenging. Later in the interstellar progression, you're coming up on some pretty intense landing puzzles and things like that, so there's a lot of interesting problems to solve in KSP2.
There will be multiplayer, but we have not yet seen anything about that. But we do know that every player will be able to use their own color scheme. So far, we had an update in some form or the other every few weeks since February. Whatever went on behind the scenes before the switch to Intercept Games, the developers are communicating a lot more than in the time between September 2019 and February 2020. I'm pretty sure the developers still have a lot up their sleeves, and maybe we will already have something new to talk about next week during Gamescom 2020, which starts August 27th. This time with 0 people on scene, since the organizers have moved to a digital model because of the current human malware situation. From a marketing standpoint, this would be a good opportunity to keep the hype train for KSP2 rolling, so make sure to follow my channel because you bet I'll be dissecting the new material.
Again. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel for more and follow me on my social thingies. The links are in the description. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.